if you're to click on.
Okay, so it's a minute past 3 o'clock on the 19th of May. Here in Southsea in Hampshire in the UK, it's a beautiful day outside, and your time is precious, so we'll get started, I think. First of all, introductions. Myself, I'm Jonathan Chubb from Esdebe. I'm the Managing Director. I'd like to thank you for joining us with our iXsystems management team. So we're going to be here to talk about all things iXsystems and TrueNAS. So please feel free to use the chat button down there to post your questions. Welcome to Sweden. And I'd like to give a big shout out to our colleagues from Holstein in Germany, who are doing a fantastic job with iXsystems and across Europe, and big warm welcome to you as another iXsystems true partner like ourselves. So firstly, a little bit of introduction to ourselves. Esdebe have been established since 2001. We've been delivering data management and protection solutions. Our attitude is that the customer always comes first. So we're service centric, we're UK based, but we deliver globally. We have a wide client base that spans from the very small to the extremely large pan-global companies. And we play in the public sector as well as the private sector with equal aplomb, I would say. We have a good relationship with our clients, and we have very high client retention. We've been an iXsystems partner now for nearly 3 years, and we're a fully fledged true partner delivering across Europe and beyond. And lastly, the last thing I'd say as introduction to Esdebe is that there are many ways that you can say Esdebe, Esdebe, Debbie. We answer to all of them. We're not offended if you come up with a new version that we've never heard of, which is, I think we're up to about 36 different iterations. But so without any more ado, I'm going to introduce the panelists that we have with us here today. So we've got Matt Finney, who's the Vice President of Sales for iXsystems. We've got Mario Blandini, Vice President of Marketing at iXsystems. We've got Franco Uwa, who's a Partner Manager for Europe. And we've got Eric DeRidder, who's our Senior Systems Engineer. And so without any more ado, I'm going to launch into our first question, which we have is, who are iXsystems? Or iX as you commonly call. Now I'd like to ask Mario if you could elucidate on who iXsystems are.
Sure thing, I'd be happy to, Jonathan. I'll take the first half and let Matt take the second half of the question. I've been here but a mere 6 months at the beginning of next month. And my experience so far, having been in a lot of data center infrastructure companies, is that iX is different. It's a almost weird, so to speak, culture, but one that I think is really awesome. If I were to boil it down for you, Jonathan, we're a partner and channel first company that creates technology that we aim to give away for free. We are open source pioneers and the company behind TrueNAS, which is the most deployed storage software on planet Earth. And we are a purpose first company. For 20 years, we've been fostering and growing and aiming to keep this vision of a zettabyte of data freedom alive. A zettabyte's a very big number. And 20 years ago, someone would have said, oh, that's crazy. You'll never do that. Well, this year, if we're a company, thanks to partners like Esdebe, who's doing $100 million annual turnover as a company, and those revenues help us reinvest and advance TrueNAS so we can continue to give it away for free. And so that's my job, is to help give it away for free. Matt's job is for the folks who want some help and want to work with partners such as yourselves or our sales team to find a perfectly optimized solution for TrueNAS on hardware from iXsystems. So Matt, you've been here for 16 years now. Did I do it justice? Is that a fair description of who we are?
I think it's more than fair. And at the end of the day, I mean, the question of just what makes us different. I mean, we are focused on providing just flexibility. And, like Mario said, we have a free offering and we encourage people to use it if it fits the job. And we have various enterprise offerings as well. So it allows us to be really unique in the space where it's not about, how do we make money from every single interaction? It's how do we get back to the community and then offer a solution that fits enterprise needs when it's warranted.
Thank you very much, Matt and Mario. Yeah, it's quite a comprehensive answer from both of you, so thanks for that. I'm going to ask Eric now, what's the best way to decide between TrueNAS Core, TrueNAS Scale, and TrueNAS Enterprise, the three operating systems that we have? How would you choose which one was which? Which one was right for you?
Well, I will give a short overview. Basically, the TrueNAS Core, that's, as Maria explained, that's the free-to-use operating system. That includes almost all of the features TrueNAS can have. Now, basically, it comes without support. So the use cases would be non-critical workloads. Things like a backup target and things like that. Now, the TrueNAS Enterprise, basically, it's an appliance. It's a software that you cannot download from the website. It comes together as one package with hardware, with support, and with enterprise-grade functionality like high availability, proactive monitoring, support going from bronze up to silver, things like that. Those, the TrueNAS Enterprise would be in business-critical workloads, like a data store for VMware, for instance, or VDI solutions. And when it comes to scale, TrueNAS Core and TrueNAS Enterprise, those are scale-up solutions. TrueNAS Scale is, on the other hand, a scale-out solution, where multiple nodes will be connected together as one big cluster environment. So it's
Jonathan, yeah. Oh, Garrick, if I can just add on to that, I'll mention that TrueNAS Scale is fairly new. iXsystems, when mostly we're called iX. If I'm doing this right, you'll only see the iX logo there. We as a company used to be a mono product company. TrueNAS Core is what we had, but now that we have TrueNAS Scale, just from a technical perspective, Eric, there's a lot of people who like it for scale up, not just because it scales up, but because it's also based on Linux and provides for better hyper-convergence use cases with Kubernetes and things like that, correct?
Correct, that's absolutely correct. The big difference between the TrueNAS Core Enterprise, that's a solution based on the free BSD, where the TrueNAS Scale, which is a new solution, is built upon a Linux Debian in the background, where you get all the features like KVM, Kubernetes, Docker, and all of those things that you can easily deploy on a single node system. But on top of that, and that's the beauty of the solution, you can grow and make it a scale out solution and cluster the whole thing.
Yeah, and Jonathan, real quick, we just surpassed 17,000 users since having gone to our release phase in February of this year. And just 2 weeks back, we did our first major release of TrueNAS Scale. So we're finding that a lot of folks are starting to use it. And our general guidance is if you're looking for the most stable, it's been around forever, rock solid product, TrueNAS Core is probably where you want to start. But it too just had its 13.0 release. So we've made a lot of major improvements, not just in the TrueNAS software, but in the subcomponents of TrueNAS software, specifically OpenZFS 2.1, which now works as a full-fledged equal citizen across FreeBSD and Linux. So that's kind of an exciting thing for us, Jonathan, in that this technology, in order for us to take advantage of all the services, Kubernetes, Docker, et cetera, it made sense for that to be part of the evolution. So you can think of scale and core as being two different choices, whether you want to scale up or scale out, and scale out with hyperconvergence. One of them, as I mentioned, scale is just recently being put on the market, but we're being highly based on the previous TrueNAS 12. If I were to have a slide here, we're doing a Q&A, which is more fun than a slide. You could imagine TrueNAS 12 became then simultaneously TrueNAS 13 and TrueNAS Scale 22. So those represent choices. And the cool thing is, and Eric, help me because you're the technical guy, we support one-way migration at any time from core to scale, or enterprise to scale, correct?
Exactly. It basically, if you start with a TrueNAS Core Enterprise and the use case would change like next year, for instance, where you say, now we need something else, there's a very easy migration from TrueNAS Core Enterprise to Scale, with keeping as much as possible all the existing services, the existing shares, the existing data, and so on.
Okay, so thanks for that, Eric, and for Mario. You've touched on one of my next questions, which was going to be about what's new in TrueNAS 13. Yeah, so if you'd like to sort of run over that one for us, please, just so that people know what to expect.
Exactly, that's something I can do. So basically, we built TrueNAS 13 on the rock-solid foundation of TrueNAS 12. And although the look and feel is almost exactly the same, except for a few minor changes, it all happened in the background, under the hood, where big changes were done. And basically 5 of them. The first one is that we upgraded the base operating system to FreeBSD 13, which gives an overall improvement of about 20% performance improvement. A second big change is that Mario already explained this. We updated to ZFS 2.1, and that gives us an incredible startup and failover time, well, reducing of startup and failover time by about 80%. Another thing that has been upgraded was the SMB version. Basically, that's all about security. Another thing is iSCSI, where we now support larger I/O sizes. And again, this improves performance. And another big change, dramatic change even, is NFS. With NFS, we are able now to have a performance increase of about 400% for a single client. So a lot of things happened under the hood.
So with the different versions of TrueNAS available, Scale and Enterprise particularly, there's a lot of reason to look at what you're doing and your use case and how you're doing it, and to consider whether or not maybe you should be looking to upgrade or to migrate to a different version. And that's something that we can help you with. If while you're looking at that, if you want any guidance, then please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you, Eric, for that answer.
You're welcome.
So we've talked about TrueNAS Enterprise and 13 and what's new in it. Going forwards and touching back on that idea of reviewing what you're using, could you give us some reasons of why you would recommend to do an upgrade to 13 or to move across to Scale? There's 2 questions there, but if you'd like to take them both.
I'll take the first one, and I'll have Eric take the second one. And so our general recommendations, and I had a chance to do a live Q&A with with Chris Moore, our head of engineering, and Morgan Littlewood, our head of product management. And their guidance was really simple. If you're in the community and you like testing things before they're baked, we have a constant stream of nightlies and software that you can help us test. And that's part of how our community of 250,000 people help us develop these products. You mentioned that, Jonathan, that Esdebe has a similar core value to iX, that being that we think people before profit. Kind of weird for a Silicon Valley company to think that way, but the reason we do is that we just finished a very large scale user survey, over 8,400 respondents of people who use our free software, and they gave the software and the online support that we provide via our forums, via Discord, live chat on the website, online docs that you can collaborate on. We received a 64.5 score, which is close to the top category of great. And this is among people who we don't sell anything to. We just offer our product for free. They're getting that kind of experience. So the advice, to go back to your original question, which is when should you upgrade? TrueNAS 12 is so rock solid. There are people who may never touch it. So it depends on your sensibilities as an IT person. If you are a tinkerer, we have unlimited numbers of pre-release versions. Once we get to the release phase, which TrueNAS 13 reached on May 10th, just last week, we then tell everyone that this now has received enough testing after 6 rounds of QA in our community across hundreds of thousands of machines that it's probably stable enough for you to consider going to it. So I think in general, IT people think of risk. Sometimes they say, well, I don't want to go to that version until it's been out for 6 months. Well, yeah. If you want to go to the a version that, if the most conservative IT people might wait to the U2 release of a particular software because they know it's gone through more and more QA. But the reason to upgrade to 13 primarily for, as Eric mentioned, is that it has security and performance updates, particularly as the data sets get larger. And I'll tie that back to our community. We wouldn't have been able to know to test 20 petabyte clusters with 1,218 terabyte drives in them had it not been for people in the community trying it and telling us, hey, it's not working very well. So that what I'd like to say is, and this is a good segue to Eric talking about scale, because even in TrueNAS Core, we are being pushed to support multi-petabyte configurations. And someone had thought, how could you have multi-petabyte that I'd use for free without support? Well, to that point, Jonathan, there are tons of data sets that if you couldn't do it at a lower cost, you just wouldn't save the data. Hence, having it saved in TrueNAS is a choice that a lot of people are making today. And the reason to go to 13 would be is that it's reached your maturity level. We still offer TrueNAS 12 U8 release alongside 13 on our website when you go to download to give you that choice. On scale, though, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, Eric, when the right time to upgrade is.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to scale, I don't like to talk about upgrades. I more like to talk about migrate, because it's not exactly an upgrade. It's a different solution. So there are 2 reasons why you should consider scale as of today. The first reason, as I explained in the beginning, it's based on Linux, Debian in the background, with the nice features that comes with it, KVM and Docker and Kubernetes. So if you're into this and you need to have KVM support, well, yes, that could be one of the triggers to decide, I want to move to scale. Another one would be if you have large scale out deployments where the clustering becomes interesting. That's the second reason why we should migrate to scale. But as of today, and there's also a reason why not to migrate, scale is brand new. It's been working on the background for years, but it's still new. So would I consider moving to scale today in a business critical environment? No, I think it's not the right choice to go that way. Next month will come a new release, a new version of Scale that will include high availability support for dual controller systems. Then we will start to maybe think about migrating to Scale in a more business environment. So those are the 2 reasons why migrating or why not migrate.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric. Good points that you've made then, both Mario and Eric. And one of the points that you raised, Mario, was about security. And I'm not sure if this is a question for Matt or Mario particularly, but I'd like to just ask, what sort of security concerns are you hearing about out in the community about security and open source? And
I'll kick this over to Frank. In fact, that's a great, let me put Frank on the hot seat here. Hey, Frank, I just started working here. You've been working here a little longer than I have. And generally speaking, there is a perception, at least in storage, because storage is kind of important. If a 1 turns into a 0, everything is really bad. So like quality and security are of the utmost. But there have been many advances in open source as well. And what I hear is the common objection, which is, well, if it's open source, it must not be secure because you don't have someone who's being paid to make sure it's secure. The other hand of that question, though, is how does one develop security and robustness into a software? And that is often done by having wide scale deployments and closing any security gaps that might be there. So generally speaking, and you could talk about the customer sentiment here, Frank, but from a development standpoint, in many other sectors outside of storage, a robust open source community that has vibrant contributions to advancing the software is seen as having an advantage in the quality and security perspective, because there's more people looking at it, there are more stakeholders looking at it, and it's in the open so that anybody could see if there's a vulnerability, and if someone sees it, naturally it gets addressed. And so how are people thinking about it these days, Frank?
Spot on. So basically, good afternoon, everyone. I come from a background where I was in the channel for 17 years, probably a little longer than that. And so I've sold a lot of solutions, for proprietary solutions and open source solutions as well. But back in the day, when an organization is introduced to us as an open source organization, everybody just shies away. The first thing they say, oh, it's secure. This is an enterprise project I'm working on. I cannot afford to have something that's not secure. But it's changed. A lot has changed, and just like Mario said, there's so many eyes on it at the moment. So basically, the code is open. So and everyone can see. So if there's anything that anything untoward, the whole world can see it. So therefore, I think that personally makes it a lot stronger than a proprietary solution. Another thing is I've been speaking to a lot of organizations, from government organizations to universities to corporate organizations, even finance houses, and they all have a direction. Many of them have a direction to go open source because it's technology, it's storage freedom, it's technology freedom, it's collective collaboration. You got everybody work. Now you hear a lot of people talking about collaboration. You hear a lot of people talking about diversity. You hear a lot of people talking about inclusion all around the world, not even in technology, but also in technology. So basically, people working together for a common, the common benefit of the world is such a great thing. And that's why when you see open source, you get a whole heap of people from all different backgrounds working together for one general cause. I actually read somewhere that it's only in open source that you get different people from different countries, from different political backgrounds, working together, for a general cause. And that's what I love about open source, and that's what I love about iXsystems. Like Mario said, 250,000 people working day and night on our solution and the TrueNAS core. So when it gets into the TrueNAS enterprise, it's perfect. And that's why I always say that if you want to sleep at night as a storage manager, as an IT director, as head of IT, if you want to sleep at night, you buy a TrueNAS enterprise solution, because you know that it's safe, it's secure. I mean, as I always say, 50 million downloads. We have 1 million of deployments, on TrueNAS core. And we have thousands of enterprise customers all over the globe buying TrueNAS. So that's why TrueNAS. I always say that is why TrueNAS. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, that leads us very nicely into my next question. And I think you can all throw a word in or two of this one. As you've all been at iXsystems for different periods of time and you've all got a different perspective. So I'm going to ask you, how is iXsystems approaching the provision of storage solutions differently from other vendors out there? Matt, would you like to kick off with this?
Sure, I can take a shot at it. I think our model, I mean, is just extremely unique, and I really think it benefits, frankly, our customers at the end of the day. But I can't think of another storage provider that provides you, a no capacity limit, free version of the software that you can just try. At the end of the day, you can see the majority of our capabilities just with TrueNAS Core, and you can load it on your own hardware and get, really a free test run in terms of how our product works at the end of the day and what features it has. And this is why, some of our customer base, it is very broad, where we have a huge number of just active users that use our free software for a variety of storage cases. Just about every company we talk to, they are using TrueNAS Core for non-mission critical storage. And it makes our, go-to-market strategy very unique, where we're actually very happy that they're doing that. But it makes for a very easy transition, that if they like what they see there, that they have a enterprise version, that if they need more enterprise features, high availability, VMware certifications, a fully supported solution and support contract, they have iXsystems that they can rely to provide an appliance that can provide that. And it also actually works with that free version of the software for a deployment they may already have. So we're very unique, where you can buy a TrueNAS system from iXsystems for your enterprise needs, and you still have the ability to actually replicate to maybe something you're running on your own hardware. All the systems actually work together, where you can replicate from our enterprise product to our free open source software that you might be running on your own hardware. There aren't any other vendors that really do that or have that type of flexibility that they're trying to bring to storage at this point.
Eric, would you or Mario like to add something to that?
From a technical point of view, I see that, well, basically that's something I saw quite quick, is that how close the customers are with iX. If they find something within the product or within the solution that they want to have changed for one reason or the other, you just ask, and it gets filed, it gets checked, and basically I did this, I think it was 4 months ago, with a feature request for a TrueCommand solution, which is a management solution. And basically, I think it only took 2 weeks to get it implemented. This is something I never saw with any other vendor.
And it speaks to our open development concept, Eric, which is very different. So I think where technology comes from, we make it in using a different model than your typical venture funded or publicly traded or private equity backed company. We're a company that never took any investment money. So we were allowed to do whatever we want. And we've chosen to, have a higher purpose and think people before profit. In summary, we're the only company that actively encourages you to try our software for free on any hardware. And having come from a couple of software-defined storage companies of the past that didn't quite make it, iX has proven that it's a software-defined storage company that has already made it, in the sense that our business model of selling these optimized appliances just for the folks who raise their hand after having experienced it. We estimate that if we make $100 million worth of revenue a year, billions of dollars it would have otherwise cost for the people in the free community to use the software and create value for their organization. So for us, the way we do it, just about everything we do is somewhat the opposite of a traditional vendor by virtue of our business model and how we're committed to having people try it for free. I imagine there's folks on the line here that when it comes to evaluating a storage appliance, it involved having it show up to your back dock, getting it wheeled off and racked up in the data center just to try it. Here, you can try things with cloud-like efficiency in the sense that you can evaluate the software. And we know that it doesn't work for every use case, but more and more people who try it are finding new use cases for it. And that's something that makes us different, right, Frank? We're not there telling them that they should use it for these things. We just ask them to use it, and they determine for themselves where it best fits.
Yes, most definitely.
So that leads me nicely into into my next question, which is about the roadmap and where we're going. So the roadmap for 2022, what are we going to see for the second half of this year and beyond? What's in the plan, Matt?
I think, I mean, really right now, as been talked about, we just recently launched Scale as a release, and we're going to continue to build upon that. I think you'll continue to see us turn that more and more into a enterprise offering at the end of the day. I think you will see some new products from us by the end of the year, would be my assumption, although I don't have details to share on that front. But yeah, we're, you know, I think there's a big focus on Scale right now and how we continue to evolve that to make it better at the end of the day. We keep talking about it's brand new, so we're not recommending it yet for enterprise use cases, but it is available as an open source software to try and test, you know, for yourself right now. Mario, I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that.
Well, sure, I can add a couple things. You can expect us as Natural to continue to evolve our hardware platform. So iX, the company behind TrueNAS Enterprise, is delivered in the form of our appliances. And we have several series of storage appliances that are all unified storage. I mean, probably should have said that earlier. Even TrueNAS Core is unified storage, offering block, file, and object interfaces. It's really scale up versus scale out, which is the distinction. But from a hardware perspective, even during the pandemic, a lot of people would say, how did little old iX that no one knows about, how did you grow like crazy during the pandemic? And the answer is most enterprise sales engagements looked a lot like we're talking here, Jonathan, where it's a bunch of people talking together on a Zoom, not physically traveling to the location, booking some golf tickets, doing a steak dinner or anything like that. So I'd say that the pandemic made the procurement process a little more practical and even the playing field for these choices, where it used to be that you had to, Matt and Frank and Eric would have to get in their vehicle and drive to the customer. So that's one of the things that's changed and accelerated our business. But during this time, we've actually fared as well, if not better, than a lot of our larger competitors with respect to being able to provide supply. So right now, our supply chain is looking very healthy, and we're able to respond to, with most of the platforms in our portfolio, shipping times that are attractive compared to what you might otherwise get there. So in addition to some of those new hardware platforms coming soon, and we don't announce those till they're ready to ship, right? Because you know, that's kind of the way we are practical. If you want to know what's on our software roadmap, all the dirty details are online. But you can expect for us to continue to advance our hardware platforms such that we can drive the best price performance ratio for those solution points. In fact, I'm going to pull a question right out of the live questions, if you don't mind, Jonathan. Okay. What's the biggest NAS that you can build with TrueNAS that y'all know about? I mentioned that in our TrueNAS 13 certification testing, we now have, thanks to WD, who partnered with us to amass 1,200 of these drives, we have a single TrueNAS system of over 20 petabytes. So TrueNAS systems by themselves can scale up to that. And it's those improvements that were made in 13 around ZFS pool import times and other things. By making that 80% faster, it essentially means that big systems are just as responsive as small systems, if that gives you an idea of scale. But that's just one data point. You can talk about other scale characteristics there, Eric.
Oh, there are so many.
Just some examples. They were just basically asking, hey, what's the biggest you can make? Because we mean, say, 2 exabytes on scale, but that's something that's probably more of a theoretical thing for now.
Yes, exactly. So basically, with 20 petabytes on a single system, but with Scale, of course, you can go in scale out. You can add multiple systems, up to 100 systems, and even more. So it goes, well, it can go crazy.
It can get really big.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so I'd like to thank Jan from the Internet Foundation for that question. We've also been asked about TrueNAS minis on the roadmap and whether or not there's a rack mountable version that's going to be in train, or is that on the roadmap, or maybe not?
I'll answer this so I don't get any of my sales guys in trouble. You can imagine that this is a request that's been pretty popular among several folks for several of those characteristics, both the kind of low power consumption, low ambient noise, etc. So
yeah.
As we'd like to invite, if you're interested in having more of an NDA style roadmap, we do those too, in addition to being an open source company. So this is where, Jonathan, we'd be happy to support you and your team as you're engaging any of these audiences and they're looking for those. I can't tell you that there's a date by which this is coming out, but I can confirm that this is something that we are looking at based on feedback from the community.
Thank you. Jan, you're just going to have to be patient, mate. Thank you for that one. So one of the things that thanks, Jan. So one of the subjects we haven't touched on so far is the support side of things. So question would be enterprise support. What TrueNAS solutions get enterprise support? Frank, would you like to take that one on?
Okay, so as you probably know, we have TrueNAS Core and we have TrueNAS Enterprise. The TrueNAS Core solutions are supported by the community. So if you have a solution which is non-mission critical and you want to use, you don't have that critical requirement for support, then TrueNAS Core works. But if it's mission critical, it could be your primary storage, or even if it's your backup, but it's mission critical, you would go for, we expect you to go for TrueNAS Enterprise, because that comes with a number of support levels. We have, bronze, silver, and gold, which is 24/7. And you also get the benefits of, high availability, dual controllers and things like that. So we have TrueNAS Enterprise, which is, like I said, for mission critical solutions.
Would you like to just expand on the levels there, maybe, Frank? That you said gold, silver, bronze.
So we have, and I'm talking from an international standpoint. Bronze is 6 to 6 US local time. So basically, that is something I never recommend. We have international silver, which is basically 12 hours. So basically Monday to Friday, 12 hours. So yes. So we have that. And that is something that I recommend to my customers, unless it's so mission critical that they have to have 24/7. One question that also always comes up is that, do we have spares in Europe? Because if there's something that goes wrong on our solution and they need to get spares coming from the US, it's going to take at least about a week. And the answer is yes. We have a spares depot in the Netherlands. So if we need to get a spare, could be a power supply, could be a drive out to you, we'll ship it directly from the Netherlands, and therefore we will be able to stick to the SLA that the silver or gold or even the bronze support adheres to.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank. Before one last thing I would like to add. Yes. If you want to sleep at night, always go enterprise.
Okay. Well, I'll one up you there, Frank. Try core and see what it works for. And what we find is, without us even having to explain it, people for themselves understand where that line is between what works for core and where they need enterprise. And we're not being evil when we do this to say, just try it because we know you'll like it. We want you to try it because that's really the benefit here. And for, Jonathan, you've probably had several customers who have been even before TrueNAS, FreeNAS users who then use TrueNAS Core, the free version, who've reached a point where they're like, this has been working great for years, but we're just getting too big. Now we need to go to somebody who can help us. And I think that's where the role of our channel partners, especially our true partners, our preferred resellers like Esdebe, y'all come in there, and you probably have plenty of stories of folks who've made that transition.
Yeah, we've certainly been able to help companies who have gone from having it on a not mission critical and the support has been adequate to deciding that now data protection is an important function, and the implementation that they've got requires that if they need some help with getting it back, they need to know that they can reach out and get support from the vendor. And so that's a really important thing. Patrick, our good friend from Croydon, has asked the question, will there be a UK support number as being a hospital? We understand that there's a block on international dialing system. Now, Patrick, just so you know, we've been talking to Matt about this recently, and it is in the pipeline. So I'm hoping Matt's going to give us some positive news here. Would you like to take that one on, Matt?
Well, I think it's fair to say that we absolutely will in the future have a UK phone number. We don't today. Obviously, we have a ticketing system that works well and is available 24/7 to get in touch with our team. But we will be implementing various phone numbers for, frankly, the EMEA region. We fully support it. We have a spares depot there. We have various developers, throughout EMEA. So we have a lot of resources there at the end of the day. And the one thing we seem to have missed is we don't have a phone number to make it easy. So we'll have that addressed in the near future.
Thank you, Matt. That's good news. And Patrick and all our clients, please feel free to reach out. As a lot of our clients, they will just contact us at Esdebe directly and say, we need you to log a support call. And we're very happy to do that. And then to manage that process, working with yourselves and iX support as an interface. We do this for everyone. It's not just with iXsystems that we do this. It's a part of the support that we provide going forwards. So thank you for that question, Patrick. David has asked a really good question here, which I'm hoping that you're going to be able to help with some. I think this is one for Eric. I wonder if there is a plan for clustering the compute part of the Scale solution. Is there a timeline for this? So not only do we want to know if it's in the line, if it's happening, but also when can we have it? If I read between the lines, David.
Now, the compute part, I suppose this is meaning basically the controller using the CPU. And this is basically something that we do today. If you take in our range of solutions, the R series, which are single controller systems, with CPU, memory, IO, disks, and all of that, is you can cluster this all together and in multiple nodes. But I see in the meantime there is a change. The virtualization of VMs. Okay, this is exactly, currently it's not available. But this is something that we're looking at and probably will be in the end of this year, so that will be addressed. But that's something later on.
Actually, I could say, Eric, it's part of the Bluefin roadmap. So if folks who want to go to our TrueNAS Scale page and look at the details or go into the release notes or any of that, the open source projects are often named starting in alphabetical order. So the first release of Scale was Angelfish, the second one being Bluefin. What's the third one going to be? It's going to start with a C. I don't know, some fish species that starts with a C will be its name. But the Bluefin release is slated to have a lot more capabilities built in this area. And it just speaks to Matt's comment that while we are a poly product company, for us, scale is to give our TrueNAS core and enterprise users a solution to move forward into as they continue to advance their environment and look for capabilities like having hyperconvergence in an open way and being able to manage applications running on that in a highly available way. So yeah, I'd say look forward to that in our Blue Flame release.
Thank you for answering that completely and comprehensively, everyone, panel. Unfortunately, we've answered the wrong question. David wants to know, he meant the virtualization of the VMs. Now, if this isn't immediately obvious to everyone, then David, we'll take that offline. Oh, okay, you're happy with that. That's good. All right, excellent,
Exactly.
excellent. Right, okay. So I did see another question, which was to do with the performance numbers on running scale and the Mini XL with virtual machines on it, given the CPUs on the lower end of the spectrum. Have we covered that one off comfortably, or?
No, we haven't covered that. And I don't know if any of the other folks from iX know the answer. I know that I've seen some videos of people deploying it, but I haven't seen any specific performance numbers. And like all things performance, yeah, it depends on what the workload is. Naturally, limited CPU could be a limiting factor there, but I guess it just depends on what you're trying to do. Today, we would say if you're looking for maximum performance, TrueNAS 13 is the place to start. If you're and you can expect that we'll continue to, as we always have, tune performance up over time and make it optimal for the most common deployment scenarios. But have you heard anybody who's used scale on TrueNAS Mini XL yet, Eric?
Yes.
I think it's you, isn't it?
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I know people have done it. I just haven't seen the performance numbers.
And that's the only reason why I installed it on my system, because I had so many questions about it. And exactly, it's quite easy and simple to install virtual machines on it, but you don't need to expect high performing multiple VMs running on a TrueNAS Mini XL Plus. Especially, yes, you can have up to 64 gigs of memory, so that's largely enough, but the CPU is not that high that you can run a tons of VMs. In my case, I'm running about 12 VMs on scale on a Mini, medium performance, and it's doing quite okay.
Okay.
But I didn't saw numbers yet. I know internally we are testing quite a lot of performance things, especially with scale, to get the performance of scale up to the same performance as TrueNAS 13. But this is something that will probably come more and more for the coming next months.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to change the tone a little bit and ask a bit of a different question. It's more about the relationship between iXsystems and Esdebe. And
I can see that's coming my way.
Well, I could say
let your boss answer first, Frank.
So the question goes along the lines of how has working with Esdebe helped iX grow?
Who, to me?
Matt, Eric, Frank, Mario.
I'll take this one. I take this one. So when I joined iXsystems 3 years ago, basically I was the first salesperson within the international team, and obviously iXsystems have been around in the US for many years, and we have customers outside of the US that we have to serve, and we want to grow these customers. So I'm going to use a word that we have been using for a very long, throughout this conversation, the word scale. I'm going to use it in a very different context. I and the business understands that for us to scale the business, for us to scale iXsystems, we cannot do it on our own. We need the right partners to work with. And when I say the right partners, I'm talking about partners that share our ideology, partners that share what we do and understand exactly what we want to do and work with us. And I can give an example of something that a great partner will do. When I'm speaking with partners, it could be an opportunity, a small opportunity up to 5,000, a mini opportunity, or it can be a huge opportunity for an M50, a £200,000 or dollars opportunity. But the right partner will deal with each of these opportunities in this, I'm saying this in a very similar way. So basically, no opportunity is too small, or no opportunity is too big. And that's the great thing I like about Esdebe. I've been working with Zara, I've been working with Jonathan, like I said, for the past 2 years, and they will roll up the sleeves, and they'll get their hands dirty. And the number one thing is customer. And I always say, and we always say, that it's always customer before profits. Obviously we have to make a profit because we have to survive. But without the customer, there will be no profits. So therefore, it's always the customer first. So I don't, and I say this, and I'm saying this in front of my boss, Matt, and I could get in trouble for this, but I'm still saying it. I'm going to say this. I don't care what a partner is going to bring to me as an opportunity. If he cannot put the customer first, then I'm not interested. It always has to be the customer first. And now they say people buy from people. So if you make the customer happy, then the opportunities will come and the business will follow. So I know I'm rubbing on the bits, but I feel very passionate about this, as you can tell. And as I always say, my customers come first. So, and Esdebe gets that. And that's why, to me, it's Esdebe, always. And but saying that, I've got other partners all over, the world that fit into that circle, that magic circle. So all the customers, all the partners that I work with, all share the same ideology as I've described just now.
And I think that's why the True Partner program is so good, because we are totally bought into iXsystems. And from my perspective, I think it's important that our clients know that the reason why we partnered with TrueNAS at iXsystems in the first place was because, talking to our clients, they were selling iXsystems TrueNAS to us. They were telling us how happy they were with their solution, and on the basis of they were so satisfied with what they'd got from iXsystems that they were telling us, this is something that's really good. Now, if it's really good, then my other clients want to benefit from it, and they do. So we've been very, very happy with selling and supplying the TrueNAS the solutions to our clients and beyond. And we've been very happy with the relationship that we've had with iXsystems, and we're looking forward to developing that further as we go forwards. And when Frank says about rolling our sleeves up and getting our hands dirty, he's not talking about me digging the allotment. We are very proactive about feeding back into iXsystems, and Matt and Adam in the support department, and Mario, we have a regular dialogue where we discuss how things are going and what we're seeing out there in the market, and how we can use what we know to the best of our ability. So I've got another question. I'm not going to dwell too much on why we're great, but because thank you, Frank. I was blushing here. I was. Judah has asked, what is the future for HP, Dell, etc.? Are the competition still selling 3-par and nimble units, living in the past? Seems like TrueNAS is about to take over the world. You-ha!
Yeah,
Judah,
I agree with that comment.
Mario.
I'll give some color on that. We in technology always like to consider things like sport, that there must be a winner and a loser, when in reality, the world consumes amongst what technologies are available, and either the ones that were sold more effectively or the ones that worked better end up being consumed more frequently. So what I would say is that given the macro environment where it's harder to find hardware, where inflationary pressures are raising the cost of hardware, there are pressures on IT to look at different ways to continue to scale without having to spend more money. And I think that's the number one reason we call this the open storage era. We have enough data to know that it's inevitable. More than half of the world's data on premises in private data centers will be stored on open storage compared to proprietary storage in the coming years. By revenue, it's 99-1 today, but by capacity, you could see that the availability of technology that just works at a fundamentally lower cost. We're not here to tell people to buy it. We're here to tell people to try it. And we do believe, I don't want to say they're living in the past, but they're certainly continuing to follow a model where lots of money goes into developing proprietary features, and they have licensing, whether it's 3 or 4 or 5 support or software licenses or other restrictions that are optimized to make them lots of money. And hey, capitalism's great. We like that. It's good that they do that. I just think that given that open storage solutions like TrueNAS actually work, it's going to be the users that decide. So we like to say we're running our own race, or we're blazing our own trail. No other company's following us on our lower margin, higher volume, purpose first business model. They're thinking profit first and people and then purpose, right? We're thinking about that backwards. And I'd say we have respect for the competition in that try us alongside them. And if our stuff works, that's why you're going to choose. Nothing we did or Dell or EMC or HP did is going to change your mind. It's really what works best for you. And we're happy that partners like Esdebe are out there letting folks know that there are these options available, starting from free to working with enterprise support at a lower cost than traditional vendors.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you. I'm very aware of the time, and to all our attendees, I'd like to say a big thank you for giving us an hour of your time. I think it's amazing that you've all joined us, and I hope that it's been very successful, very useful for you all. If there are any last questions, panel, do we have a moment for any last questions? Thank you, David. That's a very nice comment. If there's any last questions that we can squeeze in, do get them in. Going once. I can't see who's typing. So I'm going to do my closing roundup now. So thank you to Matt and Mario, Frank and Eric. I think you've been really open, and it's been a really good session. And from my perspective, I look forward to the next one. And especially, all our lovely attendees from all over the place. Thank you for your time. I'd like to thank behind the scenes Joshua, who's been an amazing help, and Zara, who we couldn't live without. So thank you to both of those. It wouldn't have happened without you. Thanks for that. And this webinar will be posted on the TrueNAS.sdb.com if you want to review it at all. I'd like to just close by saying thank you all very much for your time. Have a great day, and may your storage solutions keep spinning. And with that doesn't work for SSD drives, does it? I know, but hey, let's not go there. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.
Right.